Good morning. At 8 o'clock, we start you out with a traffic impact alert we're tracking this morning. Right now, all westbound lanes of I-70 are closed just before Tower Road. This is a look from our CDOT cameras earlier. All traffic is being diverted onto the Colfax exit. Aurora police posted that a semi-truck crashed into the median and it's blocking all lanes there. Aurora Fire Department is investigating some fluid leaking out of the truck, but we don't know what that fluid is right now. They say no injuries have been reported. Now, this crash is just a couple miles west of where two other semi-trucks crashed yesterday morning. We are calling Aurora police for more information and we'll let you know what we learn. Now, we want to bring you back to that other crash. You might remember it from yesterday. Now, this is that same area where two semis crashed and caught fire less than 24 hours before. That happened west of the E-470 intersection. No injuries were reported in that incident either, though the crash also temporarily closed down lanes in that general area. And not that far away, officers in Aurora are also trying to figure out what led up to a 9-car crash on I-225 overnight. It shut down the road for a bit. All lanes are back open this morning. Officials say this crash happened on the southbound lanes near Parker Road just before 10:30 last night. Several people went to the hospital. One had serious injuries. Our 9 News team continues to monitor all of these situations, and of course, we'll bring you any updates as soon as we get them, both on air and online. Thank you so much for being here, spending part of your Saturday with us. I'm Lauren Scafidi. Let's send things on over to Weather Impact Team meteorologist Jaden Knowles. Jaden, it is a great fall weekend to do anything and everything outside.
Anything and everything. We're really talking about that parade, right?
You know, at 6 p.m., Broadway and 5th Broadway Halloween Parade. Let's do it.
It's going to be fun. Temperatures are going to be really nice and perfect. No rain in the forecast, but let's get you out the door this morning. Looking at Holyoke, noticing it is a little bit dense fog there. Starting to lift, though, especially over the last couple of hours. But we're still having that dense fog advisory, mainly for the eastern plains along the I-70 corridor. That will go until 11 a.m. this morning. But temperatures this morning are pretty chilly. We're in the upper 30s as well as the low 40s. 37 degrees in Centennial, 44 at the airport, and we're also 41 degrees here in downtown Denver. Here's your current temperatures across the state. Noticing the eastern plains, you're still chilly. 28 degrees in Lyman, 20s and 30s in the high country, and then also the low 40s for the western slope. Looking at live radar, really not much going on. We're seeing dry conditions, and we're going to continue seeing those dry conditions throughout most parts of the day. That storm track is mainly towards the southeast of us, impacting parts of Kansas and Oklahoma, especially over towards the eastern portions of Texas. Here's your forecast for today. We're going to see the low 70s once we head into the afternoon hours and lots of sunshine. 71 degrees is what's in our forecast. Overall, we'll be talking about what to expect as we head into your Broncos forecast, as well as what to expect into next week, Lauren.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jaden. The second longest government shutdown now enters its 25th day with no deal in sight. The Senate is now gone. They're home for the weekend, and they won't come back until Monday afternoon. Now, this week, many federal workers missing their first full paycheck. Nearly 1.5 million civilian federal workers were either furloughed or forced to work without pay. That includes more than 50,000 right here in Colorado. Also in Colorado, hundreds of court employees, judges, and attorneys are still doing their jobs because they don't have the option of just shutting down our nation's judicial system. Right now, they are limited, which means no hiring, no spending, and no public events. Things like naturalization ceremonies and courthouse visits are all on hold. But cases are still moving because they have to. 9 News reporter Rhea Jha shows us more.
The country demands it, the system demands it.
Justice doesn't take a day off.
We just don't have that option.
As the clerk of the U.S. District Court of Colorado, Jeff Caldwell knows that, but he's never actually had to think about it before.
I've been doing this job for 13 years now, and we've never entered this phase of a shutdown where we're not getting paid.
It's phase 2 of the government shutdown. Colorado's federal courts are now limited in operations, running on unpaid labor from judges, clerks, defenders, and more.
So all of our cases are moving forward, both criminal and civil.
Jeff says it's roughly 300 of his employees that are affected. 20% of them are furloughed on rotation each day.
So they're worried about their rent, they're worried about their mortgage. I am concerned about if this goes on indefinitely, whether we'll begin losing staff who just simply can't afford to continue to stay with us.
The impact goes beyond the courthouse walls.
There's a devastating impact in our entire federal criminal justice system, but I can say that the panel attorneys are in a very particularly trying situation.
Kristen Frost is one of those panel attorneys.
There are about 110 of us in the District of Colorado.
It's a group of private attorneys funded by the government who take cases when the federal public defender's office can't, representing people who can't afford a lawyer.
Since July 1st, we have not been paid. Basically, the fund that pays us ran out of money. There was hope that that would change on October 1st. Just because there's a shutdown doesn't mean that, filing of new cases has stopped or that arrests have stopped. They have not.
Workers are now showing up out of a commitment to justice. But it's justice that could suffer if this goes longer.
It could be devastating.
It can't be at stake, right? It can't be at stake. We're going to keep working.
That was Ria Jaw reporting. Right now, the attorneys say the public and those using the Colorado federal court system shouldn't have felt the impact yet, but they're hoping that lawmakers in Washington figure this shutdown out fast before they could feel it. Colorado is also scrambling to figure out how to help feed low-income families when the government shutdown shuts off SNAP food benefits next month. The governor is now asking people not to give to local food banks, but rather to an umbrella organization instead. Each state has their own network of Feeding America. In this case, it's Feeding Colorado, which doesn't buy or sell any food, but does logistics and helps coordinate for 5 partner food banks. In the Denver area, that's Food Bank of the Rockies. Food Bank of the Rockies uses its connection with Feeding America to buy food at lower costs. Then either it gives some of it away or lets smaller partner pantries buy it at that same discounted rate, like Angelica Village in Lakewood.
We are a Food Bank of the Rockies hunger relief partner, and we get about 25% of our food from Food Bank of the Rockies.
One food bank in Denver says they did survive COVID and the migrant crisis, and the strain is continuing right now. Colorado ranchers have beef with the Trump administration over its decision to import more meat from Argentina. It's an attempt to lower the price of beef here in America and prop up Trump's ally leading the South American country. The announcement alone disrupted markets and drew sharp criticism from ranchers and agriculture leaders. They say the plan would undermine domestic livestock producers who are getting ready to sell cattle this fall. Beef is Colorado's biggest ag product and top export across all economic sectors. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association called Trump's import plan, quote, misguided.
Well, obviously, it's disheartening for ranchers across the country and in Colorado to hear the president talk about solving the problem of high demand for beef and high prices for beef at the grocery store, mainly because this is the end result of years and decades of work by the U.S. cattle industry to build that quality and build that demand for our product.
The U.S. already brings in beef from countries like Argentina for things like hamburger meat, but industry leaders say if Trump's plan pushes prices down even more, it could make ranching unprofitable and potentially devastate Colorado's cattle industry. A Denver-based tech company is among the nearly 40 donors funding President Trump's new $300 million ballroom at the White House. This week, the White House demolished the entire East Wing without any advance notice or government approval. Planeteer Technologies, based in Denver, is one of the companies funding that project, along with Meta, Apple, and Amazon. Planeteer is Colorado's most valuable company. It's faced scrutiny in the past from congressional Democrats concerned about its surveillance work with the Trump administration. Democrats are worried the company is creating a database of Americans' personal information. The White House has not said how much each company gave to the project. Planeteer's ties to Washington are deep. The company has received more than $100 million in federal government contracts since Trump took office. The impact of President Trump ending trade talks with Canada is already being felt right here in Colorado. The move has sparked renewed concern among some business owners already dealing with increased costs linked to tariffs on aluminum imports from Canada. Diebold Brewing Company in Denver is a family-owned business that's been around for the past 12 years. They're already navigating higher costs, tight margins, and the shifting economic landscape.
Honestly, if you run a business, you should have a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan. And what I think I'm seeing happen to a lot of people is that they get to that point where I have to make a commitment, and then they realize that they can't make a commitment on their existing economics.
Dan runs the brewery with his son. He says while it is hard to map out the future, they are determined to keep growing their business and to keep working with suppliers to keep moving forward. A federal judge has paused the deployment of National Guard troops to Portland, Oregon. The ruling puts on hold a decision issued by a 3-judge panel earlier this week that could have allowed President Trump to deploy 200 troops. A U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said it needs until 5 p.m. Tuesday to reconsider the order. Until then, the deployment will not happen. The Trump administration is escalating its efforts to curb drugs from coming into the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered the deployment of an aircraft carrier to the waters off of Latin America. The Pentagon says it's to dismantle criminal organizations and counter, quote, narco-terrorism. The U.S. is sending the Gerald R. Ford Strike Group. It's docked near Croatia right now. It would take days for it to be in position to launch any strikes. This comes as the Trump administration has ordered strikes in the Caribbean against boats alleged to be trafficking drugs. In total, U.S. strikes have killed at least 46 people. The Department of Homeland Security said last week, since launching Operation Pacific Viper in August, the U.S. Coast Guard has seized more than 100,000 pounds of cocaine alone.